This video was brought to you by Loot Crate. Hey, brother! Oh my gosh, you guys, it feels like it has been just completely forever since we have last had a bit of new Star Wars information for us to get excited about. And I think that today is the day that we finally have something that we can overanalyze and speculate upon. And let me clarify that the reason I say I think we have something to be excited about is because we don't exactly know whether or not it's real. But the something new is this poster, which appears to be for episode 9 and apparently has been leaked. Now, first things first, real or imposter? Ha, you see what I did there? Imposters are people who are pretending to be something else, and this is a poster that might not be real, so like, imposter jokes are always better when explained. Now, there are plenty of reasons to cry fake on this poster. For one, it's not very polished. Several characters are missing from it. There is no title, and most importantly, this little alien guy looks totally out of place. Like, what were they thinking? Should we put Leia on the poster? Nah. How about this sweet alien nobody's ever seen before? How can we not? What if the alien is Leia? Probably not. But on the flip side, there are so many specific details that go into this poster that make me believe that it is real. And because I believe it's real, today we are going to break down each one of those little details and make as many predictions as possible about episode 9. Guys, before we get started, I want to give a special thanks to today's sponsor, Loot Crate, whose box this month is Star Wars themed, and because it is so new, they don't even have the box designed for it yet. So you're getting a sneak peek of all the cool stuff coming at the end of this video. Be sure to stick around and check it out. Gosh, but seriously, can you believe we're still calling it episode 9? Like, in a couple of months, we'll know the actual title of the movie and look back on Now Us and be like, ha, fools. So for guessman's sake, here's my stab at the title for episode 9. Star Wars episode 9. That weird alien dude. Anyway, the poster. First things first, I'm not gonna spend one more second not talking about it because I simply cannot. What's up with C-3PO holding a bowcaster? Like, seriously, what on earth is going on here? And what is up with Chewbacca, like, so constantly sharing his bowcaster all of a sudden?
I like this thing.
Do you mean to tell me that Han and Chewie have been friends for literally decades and never once has he asked if he could shoot the bowcaster at like a rock or a tree or anywhere on any planet that they were ever on ever? But either way, 3PO's holding it right now, which was actually one of the original reasons why when I first saw this poster, I was almost certain it had to be a fake. It just seems a little too ridiculous to actually be a thing. Although, to be fair, we have seen 3PO with a blaster before.
I'm terribly sorry about all this.
But if you do look more closely, he also seems to have Rey's staff over his shoulder and Chewbacca's like ammo cartridge vest thing on, which to be honest, I have absolutely no idea why he's always wearing this thing. I have literally not once in the history of all of Star Wars ever seen anyone reload anything once. Either way, I bet the real situation that's going on here is there's going to be a moment where they all have to offload their weapons onto 3PO to hold while they have to go do something else, but also during that time there's probably going to be this hilarious scene where 3PO ends up like shooting somebody with the bowcaster and just goes like flying through the air. Then he'll ask R2 for help and R2 will just beep sarcastically like always. Which also, by the way, no R2 on this poster, like what? And who is this other like tiny droid next to BB-8? He better have a bigger role than the little black looking BB-8 droid they advertised so much last time and then did absolutely nothing. But moving on down the line, we have a Kylo Ren and finally some glimpse of the Knights of Ren standing next to him. We've known about these guys since Rey's vision in The Force Awakens, where we get a pretty brief glimpse of them just kind of standing in the rain. And I have to say that I think these guys look absolutely amazing. Like, the costume design is spectacular, and that alone is one of the biggest contributing factors to why I actually think this poster is in fact real. And I am so interested in the rest of their backstory. Like, are they Force sensitive? Are they the remainder of Luke's students who were under him while he was training Ben Solo? Why don't they have lightsabers? Are they named after Kylo Ren, or is Kylo Ren named after them? Where have these guys been? I want answers! Speaking of which, let's head on over to the leader of the Knights of Ren, because very interestingly, we see him with his mask back on. This is crazy because back in The Last Jedi, after Snoke's taunts, we saw him completely destroy the helmet. and the wall of an elevator. What's kind of awesome though is that if you look carefully at the helmet, you can see that it's still pretty badly beaten and cracked up, which to me means he definitely repaired the one helmet, like the specific helmet that he previously destroyed. And this is significant to me for two reasons. The first is his big speech to Rey after they completely tear apart Snoke's throne room.
The Sith, the Jedi, the rebels, let it all die.
Let it all die, and yet here you are with a repaired helmet that you literally couldn't let die. The helmet that represents the fallen Sith Lord whose memory you are also trying to not let die. The other noteworthy thing about the helmet itself is the red glow that is coming from the cracks. Now, you might just think that this is from his lightsaber, but if you ask me, I think it's because he's become so fully entrenched with the dark side that it is quite literally flowing out of him. Conversely, it could just be another homage to Vader himself, who we learn in Revenge of the Sith, the inside of his helmet is very much red, which strangely has actually kind of just been adopted as the lens color for Vader's helmet. Like, I don't know what was wrong with black, but everywhere we see it now, it's red. Moving on though, if we pan down just slightly, we will see two lines of Stormtroopers. Now, the first one looks like your pretty standard First Order guys that we've seen before, but the line below it looks like a totally redesigned Stormtrooper helmet, and they're all red. Now again, at first I wasn't sure if maybe they were just glowing red kind of in reaction to the glow of Kylo's saber, but I think that these things are actually red, which personally I think would be an awesome nod all the way back to Return of the Jedi with the Imperial Guard, and again in The Last Jedi with Snoke's Praetorian Guards. And that makes me think that these aren't just like the new uniforms that Kylo instated after taking over the First Order, but instead this is an elite group of fighters that are directly underneath Kylo and the Knights of Ren. And to be honest, I kind of love this. In the entirety of the Star Wars series, they have never revamped a Stormtrooper helmet and me not like it, and red is 100% new and I am all for it. And speaking of things that I'm all for, let's talk about Rey. What's kind of fascinating about her presence on this poster is that there's almost so little and at the same time so much to take in about her. For one, she is in all white. Like, when we first met her, she was sort of in like the sand color that you would assume just basically any inhabitant of a sand planet would wear. But then in The Last Jedi, it was a much more gray uniform. And I think that was really shown in the characteristics that we saw her exhibit in that movie. She was just learning the ways of the Force and at times seemed very much tempted by the dark side.
And you didn't even try to stop yourself.
It was really a huge theme about the movie. The Jedi Order was being painted in a not so great light, and the connection between her and Kylo Ren, where he seemed to be feeling the pull to the light and her the dark and meeting in the middle. But of course, when push came to shove or force pull came to force pull, they both split hard in completely opposite directions, and I feel like what we're seeing here is Rey's full-blown commitment to the light side. This is also particularly interesting if you want to throw back to The Return of the Jedi, where we have kind of like an anti-mirror effect going on with Luke, who was dressed in black for the entirety of that movie. And of course we know that was very intentional. It was to leave his allegiance very unclear throughout the entirety of the movie. That said, Luke was in all black, and of course by the end of the movie, you know he fully commits to the light, and Rey is in all white, so you kind of wonder what might happen there. Personally, I think she's going to stay light, but there is one other mirror between her and Luke from Return of the Jedi, and that is her lightsaber. We very clearly see her lightsaber destroyed during the events of The Last Jedi, just like we saw Luke's lightsaber very clearly lost at the end of Empire. Luke had to rebuild his own before he returned as a Jedi in Return of the Jedi. And now clearly Rey has built her own as well, with what I have to imagine is the same kyber crystal she had in the original lightsaber. Now I'm very curious as to whether or not she starts this movie with the lightsaber or if she'll have to get it somehow. It almost seems fitting that like BB-8 would launch it to her mid-battle or something. But moving on from Rey, we also have a couple of new faces to work with as well. The first of those is featured right here next to Chewie, and as far as I can tell, her name is Jannah, which in Arabic literally translates to paradise or heaven. So I have a pretty good feeling she's going to be a good guy. Then right below her, we have a bounty hunter looking character named Zori, who when I first saw her immediately brought me back to Leia in Jabba's palace, which again would be another toss back to Return of the Jedi. My best guess right now though is that this character is going to be played by Kerry Russell, who we have long known was going to be in this movie, just not under which role. And if it is in fact her character, then I have to say it, maybe she's Rey's mom. Ugh, I'm actually getting so tired of making this assumption every single time there's a new female character that kind of looks like Rey introduced into this world, but just watch it be right this time. Or maybe it's Phasma back in disguise, because since when is falling into a fiery pit meant imminent death? On that note though, I'm going to move on to my final prediction that actually has more to do with someone not shown on the poster: Lando Calrissian. Now, obviously, like R2 and Leia, Lando is nowhere to be found on the poster, but he is somewhere to be found on IMDb, where none other than Billy D seems to be reprising his role. Now, major prediction alert. One of the very last scenes that we see in the movie Solo is Han handing over a considerable amount of seed money to the rebellion at that time. Now, fast forward to the present day, we know that the resistance has been knocked down so low that there is hardly anything or anyone still left standing. Literally, they can all fit on one ship that just so happens to have once upon a time belonged to none other than Lando himself. And that is where I think Lando can re-enter, the man capable of rearming the resistance in much the same way that Han did at the end of Solo. In fact, I could even see it being Han's death that actually spurs him into action. Like, can't you just see Leia like handing him the golden dice as her final ace up her sleeve? Do it for Han. Guys, I know it's just a poster and we don't even totally know whether or not it's real, but one way or another, it has gotten me so excited for Star Wars. For my question of the day, what do you think? Is there anything that we missed? Who do you think's behind the mask? And what do you think the title of this movie is going to be? Be sure to leave all your thoughts in the towel section down below. And guys, again, I have to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor, Loot Crate. This month, we want to draw your attention to a special Star Wars edition crate that celebrates the Battle of Endor. One of the big things we talked about today is all of the potential parallels we might see between episodes 6 and 9, so let's just dive into the box and see what we've got. First up, we have this super cool Alliance Special Ops hoodie. The back is actually really super awesome. I love it. Boom! Man, I actually love it, and I love the idea of like all the people who fought the Battle of Endor like went out and got hoodies made afterwards. You think he got them from the Ewoks? Next up, because you never know whether or not it's going to rain on Endor, we got a handy dandy poncho. It's rather form-fitting, and I have to tell you guys, it is impossible not to be happy in a poncho. And next, we have a hat with the Rebel Alliance emblem on there, and they just really know how much we love putting all this stuff on. It's a good thing I'm doing this one. Jay looks really bad in hats. And last but not least, they have a Rebel wallet, because everyone knows the Ewok run cantinas are some of the best in the galaxy, and you gotta have a place for your coin and identification. Guys, to get your own poncho, head on over to lootcrate.com/SuperCarlinBrothers. Use promo code Carlin for 20% off your order, and keep in mind that this is a super limited run box that is expected to run out. If you order by March 31st, your order will be shipped in the month of April. Again, guys, that's lootcrate.com/SuperCarlinBrothers. Use promo code Carlin, 20% off your entire order. Check out the link in the description down below. But guys, as always, thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you'd like to see some more Star Wars action from us, you can click this video right here to figure out whether or not Solo revealed Rey's mother, or this video right here to have all of the lightsaber colors explained. But Jay, that's all I've got for you today, man. I will see you on Tuesday.